just like money. It's a taboo subject that we talk about in the church, and we use money every day. So open your mind, prosperity that God wants for you. So he asked the question, how would Jesus invest? We're breaking the poor man's mentality. The poor man's mentality. How would Jesus invest? We're breaking the poor man's mentality. The poor man's mentality.
Well, hello. I am Gayle, and welcome to How Would Jesus Invest? My mission each week is to share about that taboo subject and often dirty words in the church: money, prosperity, finances, wealth. You know, I was listening to the jingle, how would Jesus invest? We got to break the poor man's mentality. But thank you for joining me today. I know Saturdays is kind of hard to get up and do certain things, but I love technology. You may be watching it with me real time, or you may be watching it later, but no matter, I thank you for joining me today. And if you are watching, whenever you're watching, please let me know that you are watching by typing in the chat. If this is the first time you have joined me, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am the author of the award-winning book, How Would Jesus Invest? Breaking the Poor Man's Mentality. I won the Christian Choice Book Award in 2011 in the area of finance with this book, because I contend that our people, my people, just like God said in Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, according to Hosea 4:6, especially in the area of finances. Although the Bible talks more about finances than any other subject in the Bible. And also, that's not the only book that I've written. I've written several books, a matter of total of 4. It Can't Be Boring, a Christian youth program for difficult times, Miracles of the Exchange, Intentional Blessings, Only by the Grace of God, the story of Sharon Dixon, and of course, my award-winning book, How Would Jesus Invest? Now, you can get any of these books at the website, graceandtwineministries.com. Now, you know you don't have these books. Some of you have my books, but why don't you help a sister out and order one of these books? All of these will help you. Oh my goodness. But again, you may order any of my books from graceandtwineministries.com. Just cutting out the middleman. You don't even have to go to amazon.com or barnesandnoble.com. Go to graceandtwineministries.com and enjoy reading these books. I would appreciate it. Well, I want to let you also know that I've been married to this handsome man 41 years, going on 42 years. This is none other than Pastor James E. Gilmore Sr., the founder and pastor of Grace Entwined Ministries, and I serve as his co-pastor. We are about the Father's business. And if you are ever in the Tidewater area, why don't you come and visit us at Grace Entwined Ministries? We're called the Gem. We're located at 3923 Deep Creek Boulevard in the city of Portsmouth, Virginia, 23702. Worship is at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Our slogan is, just like any other business, you will find real love at the Gem. Oh my goodness. But you are welcome. This month of February is a busy month, and we're just celebrating a whole lot of things. Well, we celebrate love all the time. I know Valentine's Day is in February, and of course, First Sunday is Communion Sunday. You can't celebrate any better love than what Jesus did in shedding his blood. So join us on First Sunday and shedding his blood and allowing his body to be broken for us. So join us every first Sunday. We celebrate that kind of love through Holy Communion. As often as we do it, we remember his love of what he did. Also, on the second Sunday, leading up to Valentine's Day, we're going to have a special movie that we're going to show, Not Easily Broken, because the Bible says that a three-stranded cord is not easily broken. When it comes to relationships, you have to have God in that relationship. Very good movie, starring Morris Chestnut and so Roger P. Henson. So join us at 10 a.m. at the church. The message is in the movie. And at the end of this month, on the last Sunday in this month, February the 25th, yes, we will be celebrating, having a Black History Month celebration. Our guest speaker will be none other than First Lady Regina Cuffey from St. Grace Church of Deliverance, and we are just looking forward to that. And that's going to be followed by a soul food luncheon. So, like I said, come and join us. If you're in the area, come and join us at Grace Entwined Ministries. And if you ever want to be a blessing to this ministry, we have a Cash App, GEMgifts, or you can go to graceentwineministry.com, which is our website. You'll see a lot of information. You'll see information about our church, upcoming events. And as I said earlier, you can order any of my books. And also you can make a one-time donation or a monthly donation. Set it up so it'll come out monthly. But we really appreciate it, because I tell you, we are about the Father's business. Oh my goodness. But today, because it is Black History Month, I just wanted to share some inspirational quotes, actually 7. I was just doing a little research, and when we talk about Black History Month, of course, we are so proud of our rich heritage as African Americans and Black Americans. And so I wanted to share 7 inspirational quotes from 7 Black entrepreneurs and leaders. 7 is the number of completion. And I went over maybe over 50 quotes, and the Lord told me to pick these particular 7. Some of the people you may know, and some you may not be as familiar with, but I thought it was just inspiring. All of these quotes, these 7 quotes that I'm going to share today. I was just thinking, we hear a lot now. We hear this saying now, I'm seeing more people succeeding and getting ahead that look like me, that's brown or Black. And I'm hoping that we get to the day that we don't have to say that as often, that it will be the norm, that so many of us will be in that spot. Yes, it's too few of us. It's too few of us leaders and entrepreneurs and business, and those of us that's succeeding. But I'm just praying. I'm just very hopeful that we won't have to keep saying that. But there's a lot of things that have happened in our history, and I want to start out. When we talk about, especially when we come to Black History Month, and we think about the things we as a people that we have gone through, we cannot. It's one issue that we cannot. We cannot exclude. We can't leave it out. We can't ignore it, and we can't forget it. And that is the issue of racism. Now, when we think about racism, the first thing we think about is that things happen to us because of the color of our skin. But let me share with you today that racism is a deeper meaning to it. And, my husband introduced me to a gentleman through watching and looking at different things having to do with economics and the issues between blacks and white. He wrote a book called Powernomics, and his name is Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. Claude Anderson, and he has worked with different presidential people and in business and even in DC, and studying this thing, and even the Bible, as far as this issue of racism. And I thought this was just a powerful. I had not thought about it, and you probably haven't thought about it either, because when it comes to racism, it's a deeper issue than just difference in skin color and being treated a certain way because of skin color. So this is what he says, and this is really this is the definition, really, when you think about racism. First of all, when you see the word racism, there's a word that just jumps out at you, and that's race. You know what a race is? When you are running, against somebody, and of course you're trying to win. Racism. So he says that racism is a wealth and power based competitive relationship. Now, you didn't see skin color in there. You see that racism is a and wealth and power based competitive relationship between blacks and non-blacks. True racism, he says, exists when one group holds a disproportionate share of wealth and power over another group, and then uses those resources to marginalize, exploit, exclude, and subordinate the weaker group. That's really what racism is. And this is very true. This is very enlightening. When I saw this, true race is it's a race. It's and not saying that we want to be ahead, but we just want a equal part of it. We all should be on a level playing ground, but the skin color is just one of those markers that people use to put us down, like it says, to marginalize, to exploit, to exclude, and subordinate, make one group lower than the other. But look at what I like this first part again. It is a wealth and power based, really, competition. When you even think about our history, and the whole reason for the Civil War, although some people don't want to say slavery was the reason for, and I'm not going to call any names, for the Civil War, but what was happening, this was a money thing. The Southerners would they're getting ready to take away free labor and slavery, and we don't want these people to get into power. It's a race. It's a race. It's a race of power and wealth. Even when we think about the situation in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I didn't even know about a lot of it. Us didn't know about that until the George Floyd situation. Never heard about it. Never in school. Now, I have some friends that went to HBCUs, and they learned more about it, historically black universities and colleges. But I did not hear about this until that time. And the whole thing, like this says here, the racism was a power, and this city was just growing just with blacks and wealth, and they had everything that they needed. And I might share that maybe one of these Saturdays, and we want to go a little deeper into that. But today, when we talk about wealth, we have to be clear about what it really is. What it really is. So today, I want to share these 7 inspirational, because what I want to really hone in on. We talk a lot about the need to start our own businesses, to be entrepreneurs, and that is the key, really, especially those of us as African Americans. to rise with and power and wealth is to really go into business and start our own business when it really comes down to it. Pastor and I, and maybe people don't believe it. This is Grace and Twine Ministries is a business. We don't even want to talk about that in the church. The church is a business. Okay. We are the CEOs of the business. Okay. So let's look at some things here. And these quotes, they are very powerful. And so the first one I want to start with, who I want to start with, is from Madam C.J. Walker. Uh, Madam, for those of you that may not know, Madam C.J. Walker was the first female self-made millionaire, African American self-made millionaire that started out, washing people's laundry, and she noticed that women needed to have better care, do something about their hair, even her hair. And of course, she was the first African American Black female self-made millionaire. And let's look at a quote from her. She said, "I had to make my own living and my own opportunity. Sometimes you got to do it yourself. And especially for us, you have to do it yourself. But I made it." And she said, "Don't sit down and wait for the opportunities to come. Get up and make them." And I thought about the scripture that said, "Don't be slowful in business." She had to do this on her own. Nobody was going to do it for her. And look what happened to her. It didn't come without some struggles. It didn't come without some risks. But she said, "I had to do it. I had to make my own living and my own opportunity." And she said, "I did it." And she's just telling us, don't sit down. Like my mom says, it's not going to fall into your lap and wait for the opportunities to come. Get up. And sometimes you have to make the opportunities. Reminds me of Shirley Chisholm. Say if it ain't no room at the table, bring your own table, bring your own chair. So you have to create your own opportunities. And that is very true. I want to just move on here. And, we need to learn more about our history. And a lot of these people that I'm mentioning today, you can see more about them. You can Google almost anything. And you can look at our history. And yes, there are so many that look like us that have succeeded back in history, even here in modern times. Let's see what Mr. Russell Simmons has to say. Mr. Russell Simmons, he is a record executive. Those of you may know that he founded Def Jam and had a clothing line, Fat Farm. But this quote that he mentioned, it just resonated with me. He said, if you wake up deciding what you want to give versus what you're going to get, you become a more successful person. In other words, if you want to make money, you have to help someone else make money. Oh my goodness. That stood out to me because I'm thinking about what we have shared about, even giving to the church. Luke 6:38 says, "Give, and it shall be given, good measure, shaken together, pouring, will men give unto you." But you have to give. Like he just said, we always thinking about what we should get. The priority is what we can give. Because if we help somebody and give, what does it say? You have to help someone else make money. If you want to make money, you have to help someone else make money. You have to invest in someone else in order to make money. Just like when we talk about the church, when we talk about giving a tithe, that the storehouse may be filled, that will bless someone else if you help the church and give to the church. It just makes sense. And you might say, I don't know if Russell Simmons, and when I think about a lot of these successful entrepreneurs, they are following biblical principles. They are following biblical principles. And you say, well, he don't go to church, but it's about the principle. And he's saying it right here. You have to wake up deciding what you want to give more than what you're going to get to become a successful person. I love it. In other words, if you want to make money, you have to help someone else make money. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Mr. Simmons. That's really a biblical principle. And that is something that we have to learn, because we see other ethnicities. That's what they do. They work together. They put their stuff together, and everybody, that's like even the early church. Everyone sold and did things and helped each other in the church, in that early church. And guess what? No one had need. No one had need. So that is from Mr. Russell Simmons. Now, this next gentleman, I know hardly nobody will know who this person is. I didn't really know who he was till I read his quote, and I read his name, and I said, oh, I had really not heard about this gentleman. So let me read his quote first and share this quote, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about him. He says, I built a conglomerate and emerged the richest Black man in the world in 2008. It didn't happen overnight. It took 30 years. He says, youth aspire to be like me, but they want to achieve it overnight. It's not going to work. To build a successful business, you must start small and dream big. In the journey to entrepreneurship, tenacity of purpose is supreme. His name is Aliko Dan G. He is a Nigerian businessman and industrialist, and he is the head of what is called the Dan Gott Group. He is the richest man in Africa, and he has a net worth of $16.1 billion. But this thing, and that's what we have to even teach our young people. These things, it didn't happen overnight. Even I know some young people, they'll look at these big rappers and things like that. It didn't happen for them overnight. For this man, it took 30 years. But, it reminds me of a scripture that says, don't despise the days of small beginnings. A lot of times we have to start small. Again, we have to work. And this part that I like that he said, tenacity, sticking to it, stick-to-itiveness of purpose is supreme. That's what he says in the journey to entrepreneurship. Aliko Dangote, and he is from Nigeria. That's somebody that looks like us. It lets us know that it is possible, but it takes time. It takes time. Again, as he said, I built this conglomerate and I emerged the richest Black man in the world. 2008. It didn't happen overnight. It took 30 years. And so we have to understand that even so, it takes time. These things do take time. And again, his name is Aliko Dan G. This is someone you may want to Google and look up. There are so many things about this man that I discovered, and you may want to check it out as well. Richest man in Africa. Oh, all right. I did see what his rank was among everybody. I think maybe about third or fourth in the world, if I'm not mistaken. But this is something, a good lesson that we can learn from, So let's move on. We're doing good, doing good. Yep, we did have Madam C.J. Walker, but let's see what Miss Kathy Hughes has to say. Um, Miss Kathy Hughes, maybe some of you may know who she is. She is a television businesswoman. She founded a company, Radio One. She was the richest woman only behind Oprah Winfrey, Miss Kathy Hughes. And so this is her quote, um, beautiful lady as well. What often happens is that people who are, oh, let me go back. The first part of this says, don't let anyone convince you that your dream, your vision to be an entrepreneur is something that you shouldn't do. What often happens is that people who are well meaning, who really care for us, are afraid for us and talk us out of it. And you know that happens, especially we as a people, because, like we said earlier, we don't see it happen to so many of us. There are a lot of risks and things that go on. But despite that, we can't let anyone talk us out of our dream or talk us out of our vision. And sometimes we're scared too. And sometimes all we need is that one doubter to help that to talk us out of pursuing that vision, of pursuing that business, of pursuing being an entrepreneur. And a lot of times they do mean good. They do mean good. But you know, I find out sometimes our people, because of jealousy and things like that, that's the other side of it too. They may talk you out of it because again, we can't have that crowd mentality. We should be in the mindset that if we all move together, if we all do some things together, we can all rise instead of pulling each other down and no one rises. So she might have a point on both sides. There are well meaning people, but then on the other hand, there are people that just don't want each other to get ahead. And we see that more with our people than anybody else. Now, I did say that. I did say that because it is true. It's just true. But Miss Kathy Hughes, really appreciate that. Beautiful lady. She has in the television and media and so forth. Miss Kathy Hughes. Let's move on. Now, you may recognize this young lady. I saw her recently. She is older and she still looks good. And this is none other than Mae Jemison, the first female African American. She was an engineer to go to space. The first African American woman, and she was an engineer to go to space. And I like what she says as well. And she says, never be limited by others people's limited imaginations because they can't see beyond. Don't let them limit your vision, your imagination, because everything, as we talk about so many times, it starts in the mind. You know, I know a lot, I'm pretty sure when she said she was going to space. Oh, nobody never been to space. Of course, you ain't going to space. When are you thinking you're going to be able to go to space? I am sure. I've read her story. She had so many uh, negative things as she was headed towards that first space mission. And not just the space mission, even being one of the few Black female engineers, even before she got there. You can't be no engineer. Oh my goodness. Her story is fascinating. But it says never, she says, never be limited by other people's limited imaginations. You know, we a lot of times we tell our children, you know, you can be whatever you want to be. But sometimes our actions behind saying that, um, you know, kind of seems like it's opposite of what we're saying. You know, I, I've shared this story so many times. My parents always said, It was never you might go to college or whatever. You will, you will. And although as I got older, became, as I was a younger child in elementary school, of course, yeah, I'm going to school. They pushed me, make sure I studied and did everything that I needed to do. But as I became a teenager, I realized that the money wasn't there. And I'm thinking, how is this going to happen? But because of their faith and everything and that push, you have to keep pushing that, even sometimes when you don't see the way. And God blessed me to even go to school free of charge on a grant, y'all. But that's how powerful it is when we encourage people to don't limit them. Don't limit them by your limitations. Don't let anyone do that. So Mae Jemison, I thank her for those inspirational words. The next person, you might not be so much familiar with this young lady, but her name is Lisa Nicholls. And I have been following her over the years. And Lisa Nicholls, let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a motivational speaker. She's a writer. She started writing stories for Chicken Soup for the Soul, those different types of stories. And then she moved beyond that. She started her company called Motivating the Masses in her living room in the year 2000. And she developed it, and she does classes on how to do motivational speaking and all of that. And now she's worth $5 million and rising. But her name is Lisa Nicholls, and hers really stood out to me as well. This is what she says, and this is something that even my husband and I have shared with some young people. And she says, if you have a dream and you have a job, that's amazing. You can learn to navigate both. Check this out. Your employee, or as I like to call, your investor, gives you the money to invest in your dream and pay your bills while you chase your dream. Okay. And it's okay. I mean, to have a job, yes, it's a blessing to have your job. But in the meantime, you can even use that job, the money from the job, like you said, to pay the bills while you chase your dream. And that's what she did. She continued to do her work and things that she was doing. And then she got to the point that the money that she was getting from her 9 to 5 job allowed her to do the things that she had the passion about, to move on to her dream. And so this was a good one, and it really stood out to me. We know of several people that have gifts and everything, but of course, the thing that they have the passion about doesn't pay the bills. But in the meantime, they may be working a 9 to 5 job, and maybe you want to get maybe a better 9 to 5 job so that you will have the money to free up so you can work on your dream and your passion. So that was a good one. That was a good one by Miss Lisa Nicholls. Look at this again. If you have a dream and you have a job, yeah, you're working for somebody else. She said that's amazing. You can learn to navigate both. Your employer, she calls that 9 to 5, your investment. Your employer, as I like to call your investor, gives you the money to invest in your dream and pay your bills while you chase your dreams. And that's exactly what she did. And now she is around $5 million and climbing. And her name again is Lisa Nicholls. Okay, we're about to the end. And I had to save the best for last. I don't know anyone that does not know this gentleman, and this is none other than the first African American president of the United States, former President Barack Obama. And I've always loved this one that he said. Here it is. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. That's it. Former President Barack Obama. We cannot wait. They interviewed Dr. Martin Luther King one time. It was like a news documentary, and the person was telling, why don't we as Black Americans and so forth, pull up our bootstraps and do what we need to do. But the point was, Dr. King, we don't have the bootstraps in the first place to even pull up. But we can start where we are. And we are an industrious people. We have always been a people that started with nothing, but we know how to create. We know how to do things, and we know how to use our hands. Like my husband say, shine shoes, sell hot dogs, and so forth. But we can make that change. And like he said, Barack Obama, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. Oh my goodness. 7 inspirational quotes from entrepreneurs and leaders. When you think about former President Barack Obama, the presidency was not, of course, was going to be handed to him. I mean, he had enough problems to start with, with somebody saying he won't even born in the United States. Well, we ain't going into that. But he had to make that change. He had to step out and do what needed to do. That nobody was going to say, well, now it's time that you become president. No, he had to step out. He had to be the change. And even when it comes to our finances, we have to be the change. We are the change that we are waiting on. Let me look at that. Let's look at that again. Change will not come if we wait for some other person. Are we waiting for some other person or some other time? We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. And that refers to everything in life, even our finances, when it comes to our finances. Well, again, I hope you enjoyed those. I certainly did. And I learned a lot from these quotes. And again, the thing I really want to tone in when we talk about even racism, and we do blame a lot of things on racism, and a lot of it is true, but we have to really hone into really what it's about. It's a competition in wealth and power. And I like, again, that definition of Dr. Claude Anderson from his book, Powernomics. He has another book that that he wrote, which is another good book called Black Labor and White Wealth. But I have the Powernomics book right here. But he shares that, it's just like Pastor and I, and sometimes, when you hear us as African Americans, we do love everybody, of course. It's not a matter of hating and race and all of that. We just want to have the equal playing field, especially when it comes to wealth and power. And one of the things is that we need to help each other first. It's okay to help others and so forth, but we need to build ourselves up as a people. Even Jesus, when you think about the story when the woman came to Jesus and wanted her daughter to be healed. And a lot of people thought that Jesus was being disrespectful when he said he couldn't give her the children's bread, because he knew the order. He came first for his people of Israel. And, I love the lady. She said, but even the dogs, he even kind of called her a dog. She said, even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. But all Jesus was saying, that we need to take care of our people first. That's what Dr. Claude Anderson said. That's what we are all saying. We're not prejudiced, or we're not. No, we want to be on the equal. And what other ethnicities do is they take care of their own first. And Jesus did the same thing, take care of their own first. But I hope you have been inspired by this week's How Would Jesus Invest? And I'm going to be covering something all of this month as it deals with Black History Month, especially in the area of finances and in the African-American community. So join me again next Saturday at 10 a.m. for How Would Jesus Invest? You may want to share this with someone. Because we all need this information. But until next time, this has been How Would Jesus Invest? See you next Saturday.
It seems like money is a taboo subject that we talk about in the church, and we use money every day. So open your mind that God wants for you. So he asked the question, how would Jesus invest? We're breaking the poor man's mentality. How would Jesus invest? We're breaking the poor man's mentality.